Doctors give up on autistic girl, but a humble waitress unlocks an unbelievable smile. In the heart of a small town, whispers echoed about a girl named Lily. 8 years old and trapped within her own silence. She moved through life like a ghost. Nonverbal and autistic, the doctors were at a loss. "There's nothing more we can do," they said, their backs turned towards a future they couldn't see. Lily's mother, Sarah, heard those words and felt her heart shatter. Alone in a world where acceptance felt a million miles away, she found herself drowning in loneliness, cocooned in a home that had become a cage. Meanwhile, at the local diner, Emma wiped down tables and served coffee with a smile that barely touched her eyes. She carried a weight that few could see, the memory of her sister's tragic accident haunting her every move. One stormy afternoon, as raindrops pelted the window panes, she spotted Lily wandering through the parking lot, her little hands reaching out towards something unseen. Intrigued by this delicate silhouette against the dreary backdrop, Emma felt an unfamiliar tug in her heart. That's when it happened. A stray dog appeared, a scruffy little thing with muddy paws and an eager wagging tail. The moment the pup trotted up to Lily, magic unfurled. The air seemed to crackle, as if the world was holding its breath. Lily, usually lost in her thoughts, knelt down on the wet pavement, and her face melted into a beam of pure joy. Emma blinked in disbelief. Is that a smile? A real smile? The dog nudged Lily's hand, and for the first time, the girl responded, her soft giggle breaking through like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. Emma's heart raced. She needed to reach out, to understand this girl who had unlocked something inside her. She couldn't explain it. Something about that precious moment felt like a lifeline. But Sarah? She had been so overwhelmed by isolation that Emma feared it might be too much. Still, Emma knew she had to try. But just as their unusual friendship began, each worried glance from Sarah felt like a riptide pulling them away from the shore. Determined, Emma decided she had to take action. She couldn't let this slip away. She wouldn't. With a fierce determination burning in her chest, she rallied the townsfolk for a fundraiser at the diner, hoping to secure money for Lily's therapy. She felt fear and guilt twist inside her, a lingering voice, whispering that she was unworthy of saving anyone when she couldn't even save her sister. The days slipped by, urgency nipping at Emma's heels like the cold wind outside. Would her plan work, or would the incredible bond she formed with Lily shatter under the weight of Sarah's troubles? Questions raced through Emma's mind as she prepared for the event. Could a humble diner really become a place of hope? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Emma stood behind the counter, the dim lights of the diner flickered, casting a warm glow over the hastily arranged tables. She organized the donated items for the fundraiser later that day. Baked goods, gift baskets, a handmade quilt that Sarah had once shown her, and a small jar for donations. This was it, the moment they had all been waiting for. Would this community gather to support Lily? Would they rally behind them? But just as hope fluttered in her chest, the diner door swung open, and a chill slithered through the room. The bell jingled, but it was not the sound of friendly chatter or laughter that filled the air. It was the stone-cold silence that followed. Emma looked up to see Sarah standing there, her face ashen, eyes wide with terror. "Emma, you need to come with me," Sarah said, her voice trembling, barely above a whisper. "What's wrong?" Emma's heart raced. Dread coiled around her like a vice. "It's Lily. Before Sarah could finish, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. Emma turned just in time to see her coworker Jake rushing out, eyes wild, face pale. The scent of smoke filled the air, a thick, acrid wave that made Emma's heart drop. "Fire!" Jake shouted, panic spilling from him. "Get everyone outside." Suddenly, chaos erupted. Customers leaped up from their seats, thrashing in confusion. Emma's breath caught in her throat, but she couldn't leave. "Lily, where's Lily?" She searched the crowded room, heart pounding against her ribcage. "She's in the bathroom. I'll get her." Sarah ran down the narrow hall as the frantic inn of screams and shouts closed in. Emma felt her legs move before she even registered her thoughts. She couldn't lose Lily. Not now. Not ever. A sudden crack thundered from the kitchen, a shelf collapsing. Emma's mind raced. Was Sarah okay? Was Lily safe? Just as Emma reached the hallway, a figure emerged from the smoke. It was Lily, her eyes wide, stumbling in confusion. Townsfolk rushed past, flinging open doors, desperate to get out. Lily stood frozen, as if the world outside was a nightmare she couldn't bear to step into. "Lily!" Emma shouted, her voice breaking, somehow cutting through the madness. Then a flash of movement. A tall man, someone she barely recognized from the edges of town meetings, pushed through the crowd towards Lily. His eyes were wide with something Emma couldn't decipher. Fear? Excitement? "Lily, come here," he called, but his tone dripped with an authority that made Emma's stomach churn. Before she could react, the man grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her toward the back exit. "I'm taking you home," he declared, ignoring her cries. "Your mother can't keep you safe." The diner seemed to freeze. Emma's mind reeled as chaos blurred around her. "Wait!" she screamed. But the man was already dragging Lily away, disappearing into the thickening smoke. Everything exploded in shock. The fundraiser, the small-town hope, and her bond with Lily, the one glimmer of light in a darkening world, vanished in an instant. "Let her go!" Emma shouted, tears stinging her eyes, but the man didn't look back. A siren wailed. Outside, growing closer. Time seized. Emma's heart thudded, a drum echoing in her ears. What did he mean by taking her home? What truth lay behind the facade of Sarah and Lily's life? Clarity washed over Emma like icy water. This man, who was he? What did he know? The questions surged like wildfire through her mind, raging more ferociously than the flames in the kitchen. Would she be able to save Lily in time? Would they have a future they could fight for? What had just been revealed left Emma adrift in uncertainty, clinging to a fragile thread of hope. Emma's heart raced as she pushed through the swirling smoke, her clothes soaking in fear. Lily, she could barely think, the chaos surrounding her tightening like a vice. Where was Sarah? Was she okay? As she stumbled deeper into the haze, thoughts of the little girl pulled her forward, the urgency of the moment screaming for action. And then she saw Lily, stunned, standing alone in a plume of chaos, her small figure silhouetted against the flickering light of the flames. Emma felt an iron grip of panic in her chest. "Lily," she shouted, desperation clawing her voice, the noise around her thrumming like a heartbeat. But just as she reached out, a figure lunged toward the child, the man who had grabbed Lily. Panic surged as she realized he wouldn't let go. "Lily, come on!" Emma screamed, frantically weaving through the chaos, pushing past terrified customers as the sirens wailed just outside. Suddenly, the man turned, and in that instant, everything changed. "Stop," he bellowed, eyes locking onto Emma with a wild intensity. "You don't understand. I'm your father." The words sliced through the air, sharp and unexpected. Emma's heart stopped, her breath hitching in disbelief. Father? Lily's father? She could feel dozens of eyes on her, jaws dropping in shock. Was this a joke? A cruel ploy? The world around her blurred as disbelief washed over her. Lily stood frozen, confusion dancing in her wide eyes. "No." Emma's voice trembled. "You can't just—" The man didn't flinch. "Your mother didn't tell you, did she? You've been living a lie." Emma's heart raced, but not just with fear. This was something deeper, something twisted and dark. What did you say? She breathed, caught between anger and disbelief. Instead of answering, he pulled Lily closer, desperation spilling from his face. I'm here to take her home. This isn't safe for her. Emma's breath quickened. Home? She echoed, the word tasting bitter. You mean to take her away? After all these years? It's the only way to protect her, he declared, urgency coating his words. You'll thank me when you understand the truth. Truth? What truth? Emma's mind spun, heart pounding against her ribs. What could possibly justify this? The diner, the community, their budding friendship, all crumbling under the weight of these revelations. Get away from her, Emma shouted, pushing through the smoke. You don't know what she needs. You're the problem. A phalanx of angry eyes darted between them, whispers stirring through the crowd. But as she lunged forward, something exploded outside, a deafening crash, shattering glass, and flames erupted like a hostile burst of anger. The air filled with acrid smoke as people screamed. Emma ducked instinctively, the urgency gripping her as she turned back. But when she looked for Lily, she was gone, a phantom swallowed by the chaos. No, Lily! Emma screamed into the swirling madness, panic clawing at her throat. She spun around, searching desperately through faces marked with shock and confusion, but Lily was nowhere. The man had vanished too, taking Lily with him into the dark. Emma's heart sank into an abyss of despair. What have I done? She whispered, tears stinging her eyes. The warm light of the diner shifted to a dark shadow of her reality. Was he really her father? What secrets had Sarah kept? What truth had been hiding behind smiles and laughter? Questions raged like the fire, blocking the path to hope. Could she save Lily from whatever fate awaited her? Would she even get the chance? The flames danced around her, but Emma felt colder than ever, the weight of dread suffocating as she stood alone in the chaotic aftermath, wondering if she had lost everything. Emma stood frozen in chaos, the fire crackling behind her as fear gnawed at her insides. Then, just when she thought the world couldn't spin any faster, she heard it, a high-pitched wail, piercing through the chaos. Emma, help! It was Sarah's voice, filled with raw desperation. Without thinking, Emma turned, the smoke stinging her eyes. She dashed toward the sound. Sarah! She shouted, weaving through frantic bodies. Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. Was Lily okay? Had the man really taken her? The din grew louder, voices rising in panic. But Emma pushed through. She spotted Sarah by the narrow doorway, her face ashen, drenched in sweat and terror. Lily's gone, she cried, her voice cracking. She slipped away. Where did she go? Emma demanded, her stomach twisting in knots. The air was thick, panic slithering around her like fog. I don't know, Sarah gasped, tears spilling down her cheeks. I thought she'd be safe with me, but he scared her. I tried to reach her. Just then, something exploded outside. A deafening roar broke through the night, followed by an intense gust of wind. Dust and debris swirled into a frenzy, casting strange shadows all around. Emma shielded her eyes, squinting into the swirl, when she spotted movement in the small alley behind the diner. Was that Lily? Emma screamed, hope blooming in her chest. But no, it wasn't Lily. It was the man, the one who claimed to be her father, his figure illuminated in the flickering flames. He stumbled, clutching something. No. Someone clutched tightly against his chest. A freezing wave of realization washed over Emma. It was a little girl, but it wasn't Lily. She was darker, shrouded in a tattered coat, her wild curly hair framing a tear-streaked face. Let her go, Emma screamed, her voice trembling with rage and hurt. What do you want? But instead of running, the man turned, his eyes fierce. This is my daughter, he shouted, desperation lacing his words. I'm saving her. What are you talking about? Emma gasped, backing away. The world narrowed down to a singular question. Lily is your daughter? The man shook his head, a dark shadow crossing over his features. This isn't what you think. They're trying to take the kids away." His words spilled out, his panic weaving through the smoke like tendrils. "They want to control them, brainwash them. You don't know what they'll do." Emma shook her head, disbelief mixing with confusion. "Who? What do you mean?" Her throat felt tight. "Who is trying to take the kids?" He hesitated, eyes darting to the rabble of confused townsfolk, then back to Emma. "I can't explain everything now, but I promise I'll keep her safe. I swear it." Before Emma could respond, the sirens wailed louder. A fire engine arrived, the heavy blare deafening. She felt a pull, but her heart was shot through with dread. Just then, the girl in the man's grip whimpered. "Daddy, I don't want to go." Emma froze. "Daddy?" The ground shifted beneath her. Was he telling the truth? Had everything she believed to be real just shattered? The man quickly turned, embracing the girl close. "You need to trust me, please." Emma's mind spun, images of Lily's smiling face mingling with the stranger's words. What if he was telling the truth? What if Lily was in danger, not just from the flames but from everything else? As the firemen burst into the diner, pushing people to safety, Emma's heart sunk with uncertainty. "What should I do?" she whispered, caught between the chaos and this twisted revelation. The man shoved past her, his grip tightening on the other girl. "You have to come with me," he yelled, desperation etched across his expression. "Before it's too late." And just like that, Emma felt the ground beneath her begin to crumble, her whole world tilted sideways. "No," she screamed, but he was already darting away into the smoke, vanishing into the madness. "Wait," Emma cried, but her voice was swallowed by the roar of chaos. "Lily," she shouted, feeling the weight of everything crash down. Questions flooded her mind. Where was Lily? What did this man know? Was she in danger? Or worse, was there something about Sarah she had never seen? The fire raged behind her, smoke curling into the night, but uncertainty gripped her heart like a vice. What truth lay hidden in the wreckage? Emma moved to follow, a tight knot of dread in her chest, knowing that everything was about to change, and she wasn't sure if she could handle what she would find. Emma stood at the edge of the chaos, her heart pounding, and breath coming in quick, raced as she fought the urge to follow him into the darkness. "No," she shouted, panic rising. "Lily!" And just as she turned, desperate to search the crowd for any glimpse of her, something caught her eye. A flash of movement to the left, a shadow slipping between the vehicles outside. It was quick, too quick. Emma's heart lurched. "What is happening?" she whispered. The firemen rushed in, ordering everyone outside, pushing people through the throng. Emma's eyes darted back to Sarah, who stood pale and trembling. "We have to find her," Emma yelled, urgency thrumming through her. But before Sarah could respond, someone emerged from the smoky haze, a familiar figure. It was Jake, her co-worker. He stumbled towards them, his shirt singed, his eyes wide with fear. "Emma! Sarah!" he called breathless. "What happened? Did you see Lily?" Emma asked, hope flickering like a dying flame. Jake shook his head, panic flooding his features. "No, but you need to see this." He pointed towards the back of the diner, where the flames danced wildly against the night sky. "There's something you won't believe." "What is it?" Emma felt a surge of dread. "Just come," he urged, urgency lacing his voice as he pushed past the chaos. He led them towards a back door, where an ominous glow illuminated the darkness. As they reached the exit, Emma felt a jolt of adrenaline. "What is it?" she urged again, her heart racing. Jake paused, glancing back at them. "You need to understand, it's bigger than any of us." Us fought. They stepped out into the cold night air, the sound of explosions muffled by the crackle of flames. The glow intensified, and Emma squinted against the bright light, her stomach churning. Her eyes slowly adjusted, and then she saw it. A makeshift stage had been set up in the alley behind the diner, lit by floodlights. Crowds gathered, but they weren't there for the fire. They were huddled together, whispering in hushed tones. Emma's heart sank as she took in the scene, a tangled mess of townspeople, each face etched with shock and fear. What were they looking at? In the center of the stage was a large screen flickering to life. Emma's breath caught in her throat as the images began to play. It was footage, grainy and shaky, of Lily running in the park, laughing, the stray dog at her side. And right next to her, in every frame, that man. The stranger who had claimed to be her father. Why? Why is this happening? Emma stammered, her eyes glued to the screen. One of those film crews, Jake whispered, drawing closer. They've been filming the children for original research. Research? Sarah echoed, bewildered. What do you mean? Jake clenched his fists, tearing his gaze from the screen. They've been using kids. They take them, they study them, they see how they react, all because of your sister's condition. It's part of some twisted project. The words hit Emma like a slap to the face. What? She gasped, her world spiraling. You're saying they've been… Jake nodded, his eyes dark. They see Lily as a potential asset. She has a special way, something they think they can exploit. That man, he's not just some father. He's in this with them. No. Emma felt her legs buckle, the earth shifting beneath her. No, it can't be. A cold wave of horror washed over her, a truth darker than any nightmare. But before she could process the reality crashing down, the screen flickered again, freezing on a grainy close-up of the man's face. He smiled, but it was empty, deceptive, sinister. How could this happen? Emma's voice shaking, she clutched Sarah's arm. The world seemed to spin faster and faster, her heart thundering. And then, in a deafening roar, the screen went black. A voice boomed over the crowd, filled with authority. We need to evacuate this area immediately. Get everyone to safety. What was going on? Panic surged through Emma as she realized they were witnesses now, caught in the crossfire of a web far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. Questions buzzed through her mind, but one stood out the most. What had they really done to Lily? What had the man taken from her before she could even understand? The night felt colder, darkness lurking just out of reach, as Emma's world unraveled before her. She had to find Lily, before it was too late. Where was she? What was the truth? A spark of urgency ignited within her. There was no time to think, only time to act. And as the sirens wailed in the distance, Emma knew one thing. Everything was about to change. Emma stood at the edge of the chaos, her heart pounding and breath coming in quick gasps. The heat from the flames licked at her back. Smoke curled around her, tightening her throat, but she couldn't think about that now. Where was Lily? Where had the man taken her? Her mind raced as she fought the urge to follow him into the darkness. No, she shouted, panic rising. Lily. Just then, a voice cut through the din. Emma! It was Sarah, her voice high and quivering in desperation. Emma turned, heart lurching. What now? Come here, please, Sarah waved frantically from the gathering crowd at the edge of the alley. There was a shadow, moving near the back, and it was supposed to be safe. You have to see this. Only half listening, Emma sprinted toward Sarah, dodging fear-stricken townsfolk. Panic had taken hold of the diner. Was the stranger gone? As she reached Sarah, the air thickened with a heavy tension. What is it? Emma gasped, clenching her fists. There's something happening, Sarah whispered, urgency filling her words. Look! She pointed and they both stared as a man appeared at the makeshift stage. It was Jacob, the mayor, his face ashen and grim. What's he doing here? Emma asked, brows furrowed in confusion. But it wasn't Jacob's presence that shocked them. As he took the microphone, the crowd fell silent. Listen, he called, voice cutting through the smoke. What you are about to see is of the utmost importance. He gestured behind him. The screen flickered to life again, revealing chaotic scenes from the fire. A playground engulfed in flames, children screaming. Then, abruptly, the image froze. The sound of laughter echoed, bright and carefree, but it quickly warped into something sinister. Suddenly, a chilling voice chimed through the speakers. It was Lily's. Help! Save them! Emma's heart dropped into her stomach. What is happening? She yelled, frantic. Please, this is about your sister, Jacob continued, eyes darkening. You're not the only one who has a claim on this. The crowd murmured, confusion spiraling amidst the flickering lights. Emma glanced at Sarah, who looked just as bewildered. What does he mean? Before Sarah could respond, an unexpected figure burst through the crowd. It was the man, the supposed father. He was back, but this time something was different. Emma noticed a flicker of recognition dart across Jacob's face. Get away from her, he roared, an uncharacteristic rage fueling his stance. Emma didn't understand. Why was Jacob reacting like this? But just then, out of the chaos, a second voice rose. It was a high-pitched scream. Lily echoed across the area. Emma turned, her breath catching in her throat. From behind the stage, a girl emerged, a girl with curly hair, just like Lily's. But as the smoke cleared, Emma's heart shattered. It wasn't Lily. No, she whispered, backing away. Who is she? But before anyone could answer, the girl's face shifted. She looked at the man and then back at the crowd. Her eyes filled with recognition, and a twisted smile crept across her face. You were never meant to find out, she said, voice rigid. Everyone stood frozen, confused. Then the girl's face transformed again, into a mirror image of Lily's. The crowd gasped collectively, shock radiating outward. What did you do? Emma screamed, panic crackling in her voice. The connection clicked painfully in her mind, the truth filled with dread. You've been lying all this time. Jacob stepped forward, eyes wide. You have to understand, they're not who you think they are. As realization washed over the crowd, whispers erupted, hot and furious. What does that mean? Someone shouted, voice laced with fear. Suddenly the screen flickered to life again, showing twisted footage of children linked in wires, eyes vacant. Emma's heart raced as she tried to piece it all together. What had she walked into? Who was the man? And what did they mean by living a lie? Before she could comprehend it fully, the girl screeched, "Time's up." A blinding flash erupted from her hands, dazzling everyone. In that moment, the ground shook and everything erupted into chaos. Emma felt herself flying backward as darkness enveloped her. As the fire roared beside her, she couldn't tell where it ended and fear began. All she could think was one thing: had she unwittingly stumbled into something beyond her imagination? What secrets lay hidden beneath the flames, threatening to swallow everything whole? Emma stood at the edge of the chaos, her heart pounding and breath coming in quick gasps. The heat from the flames licked at her back. Smoke curled around her, tightening her throat, but she couldn't think about that now. Where was Lily? Where had the man taken her? Her mind raced as she fought the urge to follow him into the darkness. No, she shouted, panic rising. Lily. Just then a voice cut through the din. Emma. It was Sarah, her voice high and quivering in desperation. Emma turned, heart lurching. What now? Come here, please. Sarah waved frantically from the gathering crowd at the edge of the alley. There was a shadow moving near the back, and it was supposed to be safe. You have to see this. Only half listening, Emma sprinted toward Sarah, dodging fear-stricken townsfolk. Panic had taken hold of the diner. Was the stranger gone? As she reached Sarah, the air thickened with heavy tension. What is it? Emma gasped, clenching her fists. There's something happening, Sarah whispered, urgency filling her words. Look, she pointed, and they both stared as Jacob, the mayor, appeared at the makeshift stage, his face ashen and grim. What's he doing here? Emma asked, brows furrowed in confusion. But it wasn't Jacob's presence that shocked them. As he took the microphone, the crowd fell silent. Listen, he called, his voice cutting through the smoke. What you are about to see is of the utmost importance. He gestured behind him. The screen flickered to life again, revealing chaotic scenes from the fire. A playground engulfed in flames, children screaming. Then abruptly, the image froze. The sound of laughter echoed, bright and carefree. but it quickly warped into something sinister. Suddenly, a chilling voice chimed through the speakers. It was Lily's. "Help! Save them!" Emma's heart dropped into her stomach. "What is happening?" she yelled, frantic. "Please, this is about your sister." Jacob continued, eyes darkening. "You're not the only one who has a claim on this." The crowd murmured, confusion spiraling amidst the flickering lights. Emma glanced at Sarah, who looked just as bewildered. "What does he mean?" Before Sarah could respond, the man, the supposed father, burst through the crowd. He was back, but something was different. Emma noticed a flicker of recognition dart across Jacob's face. "Get away from her!" he roared, an uncharacteristic rage fueling his stance. Emma didn't understand. Why was Jacob reacting
like this? But just then, out of the chaos, a second voice rose.
It was a high-pitched scream. "Lily!" echoed across the area. Emma turned, her breath catching in her throat. From behind the stage, a girl emerged, a girl with curly hair, just like Lily's. But as the smoke cleared, Emma's heart shattered. It wasn't Lily. "No," she whispered, backing away. "Who is she?" But before anyone could answer, the girl's face shifted. She looked at the man, and then back at the crowd. Her eyes filled with recognition, and a twisted smile crept across her face. "You were never meant to find out," she said, voice rigid. Everyone stood frozen, confused. Then the girl's face transformed again, into a mirror image of Lily's. The crowd gasped collectively, shock
Radiating outward. "What did you do?" Emma screamed, panic crackling in her voice. The pieces fell into place painfully, the truth filled with dread. "You've been lying all this time." Jacob stepped forward, eyes wide. "You have to understand, they're not who you think they are." As realization washed over the crowd, whispers erupted, hot and furious. "What does that mean?" someone shouted, voice laced with fear. Suddenly, the screen flickered to life again, showing twisted footage of children linked in wires, eyes vacant. Emma's heart raced as she tried to piece it all together. What had she walked into? Who was the man? And what did they mean by living a lie? Before she could comprehend it fully, the girl screeched, "Time's up!" A blinding flash erupted from her hands, dazzling everyone. In that moment, the ground shook and everything erupted into chaos.
Emma felt herself flying backward as darkness enveloped her. As the fire roared beside her, she couldn't tell where it ended and fear began. But as she was thrown to the ground, a piercing scream shattered the air. "Mother!" someone cried. It was Lily's voice, and it sent a shock wave through Emma, waking a part of her that had been dulled by fear. But this was different. Was it genuine fear? Suddenly, the dust cleared, and Emma looked up. The scene had changed. The crowd shifted. Panic turned to confusion, and the man who claimed to be Lily's father stood frozen in place, shock etching his features. Time flows. A silhouette emerged. Lily stood
Amidst the chaos, but not in her familiar clothes.
Memories unspooled in Emma's mind as she processed the image. This wasn't the little girl Emma knew. And the moment stretched, a heartbeat in a fractured world. Then, without warning, Lily pointed her finger at the man, her expression furious. "You told me they were gone. You lied." Emma's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just about running away. This was about secrets that ran deeper than she could ever expect. The realization sliced through the chaos. Lily had known all along. And as the truth crashed over Emma like falling rain, the world spun faster. "What are you talking about?" Emma gasped, her voice trembling. But Lily stepped forward, her eyes transformed. "They took me from my
Real family. And from you." Everything flipped upside down as Emma's heart hammered in her chest. How could this be true? Had everything she believed been a lie? The thought clung to her like smoke, heavy and suffocating, leaving her gasping for answers. A desperate scream echoed through her mind. Lily was not just a victim, she held the key to a labyrinth of secrets. What truths had Sarah buried? What had this man done to them both? The ground beneath her felt unsteady. Hope and despair collided. Emma's palms tingled with the weight of fear and determination. She had to figure this out. The fire, the father, the girl, everything. The truth was out there, lurking just beyond the flames, and Emma felt something shift deep within her. A call to action, unyielding and fierce. Above the chaos, she heard Lily's voice resonate through the trembling air. "Help me find out who I really am." And with that call echoing in her heart, Emma knew one thing. This was just the beginning. Emma stood in the chaos, heart racing, desperately trying to grasp the magnitude of what was happening. "Help me find out who I really am." Lily's voice echoed in her mind, laced with urgency. Emma wanted nothing more than to reach out, to pull her sister close, to scream that everything would be okay. But the world was spinning, chaos, crackling around her like broken glass. "Lily!" she shouted, crossing the debris-strewn ground as the panic swelled. The crowd shifted, eyes darting between the strange girl, resembling Lily and the man who claimed to be her father. Fear only deepened the confusion. The girl stepped forward, and for a moment, Emma saw defiance in her eyes. "You don't know the half of it," she said, sneering at everyone, her voice dripping with disdain. "You think I'm Lily? How quaint." Emma's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean?" The girl laughed, a harsh, hollow sound. "You think you can save anyone? You're not even family. You're nothing but a distraction." A wave of shivering disbelief washed over Emma. "What are you talking about?" Before anyone could reply, a loud crash shattered the air. The crowd stepped back as flames danced closer, fueled by the wind's hunger. Emma felt the heat wash over her, saw. The fright in everyone's eyes changed to a primal instinct to survive. Then, darkness swept over the stage. The blinding lights went out, plunging everything into thick blackness. No one knew what had just happened. Panic surged through the crowd. Shouts erupted. People stumbled, searching for safety. "Get down," Jacob yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to move." But Emma didn't move. She was frozen, eyes darting between the flickering shapes of fear around her. Then she glanced back at the girl. "Who are you?" she whispered, heart pounding. A crooked smile curled the girl's lips, revealing something sinister. But at that moment, a figure burst through the smoke. It was the man, the one who claimed to be Lily's father. He stumbled toward Emma, eyes wild with desperation. "I'm here to save her. You have to trust me." Emma felt dizzy with confusion, thoughts racing. How could she trust him? Everything felt interconnected, a web of deception and confusion. Suddenly, from the darkness, the girl screamed, "No, you're not taking me!" She lunged forward, revealing a small object gleaming in her hand. Then, with a swift motion, she threw it toward the ground. An explosion of colorful light erupted, blinding everyone for a moment. Emma shielded her eyes, but the chaos found her again. The air vibrating with energy, panic rising in the crowd. When the light faded, the girl was gone, replaced by a different figure, a woman, tall and regal, standing where the girl had just been. The transformation was otherworldly. Gasps erupted from the townsfolk as they scrambled backward, eyes wide in disbelief. Emma's heart dropped. Who was this woman? "Thank you," the woman said, her voice echoing, a strange power radiating from her. "Thank you for helping build what we've created." "What? What do you mean?" Emma stammered, every pulse of her heartbeat screaming for answers. This wasn't supposed to happen. The woman turned, raising her hand. The crowd fell silent, captivated by her presence. "You've all been part of something much bigger than you think. The experiments, they're only the beginning." Emma's heart raced. "What are you talking about?" But there was no time. Suddenly, a flash erupted from behind them, sending shockwaves through the air. Everything shifted, lives, identities, realities, and Emma found herself stumbling backward, confusion wrapping around her. Like a shroud. "Lily," she screamed, but the name was swallowed by the chaos. As the smoke began to clear, she caught a glimpse of the woman. A twisted familiarity wrapped around Emma. Was it possible? "Lily, is that you?" she shouted, recognizing the faces merging, old memories entwined in shadows, her world spinning, each realization hitting with devastating force. But just then, the ground quaked, throwing everyone off balance. In that moment of confusion, the woman smiled, her eyes glinting with dark delight. "This is just the beginning, Emma. You have no idea who you really are." And as those words sliced through the smoky air, Emma's heart sank. The truth was shattering, and she realized her own identity was linked to the chaos unfolding in ways she hadn't even begun to comprehend. What did that woman mean? Who was she really? Emma felt her world tilt dangerously. She thought she was searching for Lily, but now it seemed she was searching for herself. And as the reality shifted around them, one question echoed in her mind. What if the true escape was never really about finding Lily, but uncovering a hidden part of herself? Emma stood in the chaos, heart racing, desperately trying to grasp the magnitude of what was happening. "Help me find out who I really am." Lily's voice echoed in her mind, laced with urgency. She wanted nothing more than to reach out, to pull her sister close, to scream that everything would be okay. But the world was spinning, chaos crackling around her like broken glass. "Lily!" she shouted, crossing the debris-strewn ground as panic swelled. The crowd shifted, eyes darting between the girl resembling Lily and the man who claimed to be her father. Fear deepened the confusion. The girl stepped forward, and for a moment, Emma saw defiance in her eyes. "You don't know the half of it," she sneered at everyone, her voice dripping with disdain. "You think I'm Lily? How quaint." Emma's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean?" But before the girl could answer, the man, a figure now defined by desperation, burst forth, eyes wild. "No, you can't listen to her." He lunged toward Emma, but something about his movement was off, too frantic, too desperate. "Stay away from her," Jacob shouted, stepping in front of Emma. But the man was already drawing something from his pocket, a glint of steel that made Emma's heart stutter. "Stop!" she cried, fear creeping in as the crowd gasped collectively. In a blink, the man threw whatever he was holding toward the ground. A deafening explosion of purple mist filled the air. A piercing scream echoed. Emma barely caught the source before it transformed into the woman. The regal figure was now gone, collapsed in shock, a wave of energy swirling around her. And suddenly, Lily stood before Emma, eyes wide, filled with a look Emma had never seen before. Her expression was a mix of relief and something else, something fractured. "You have to trust me, Emma," Lily pleaded, reaching out, but it felt strained. Before Emma could respond, she felt a shift behind her, an electric thrill coursing through the air. She turned just in time to see a blinding light engulf Jacob. The moment he was consumed, it flickered out like a blown fuse, and amid the swirling chaos, a loud crack split through the night. Everyone turned, eyes wide with disbelief. But it was no ordinary light. From Jacob's place, a creature emerged, tall, shadowy, with eyes glowing like embers. It hovered above the ground, darkness wrapping around it like liquid smoke. "What is that?" Sarah gasped, her hand trembling against Emma's arm. Lily's face paled, and she backed away slowly, dread washing over her. "No, it can't be." Before anyone could react, the creature spoke, its voice a low rumble that seemed to shake the very ground. "I am the consequence of every lie." The air grew colder, a gust of wind whipping around them. "You all have awakened what was sleeping." "What are you talking about?" Emma shouted, panic surging. With a cruel smile, the creature fixed its gaze on Emma, its eyes narrowing. "You think you're looking for your sister, but she is one of many. One of many," it repeated, sending shivers down Emma's spine. "And you have been chosen." "Chosen," Emma echoed, her heart sinking. "Yes." The creature surged closer, shadows flickering all around it. "You will find the truth soon, Emma. You are not merely the sister, you are the key." "No," Emma shouted, hot tears stinging her eyes. "Stop," but the creature only laughed,
a sound like nails on a chalkboard, echoing off the walls of fear encircling her. Your journey is just beginning. And with a swirling motion, it tore its way through the crowd like a cold wind, spreading panic. Amid the confusion, Emma felt the familiar bond with Lily slip away. "Wait!" Emma screamed, lunging forward, but the creature was gone, leaving behind only whispers of dread. The crowd erupted in chaos, shouting and running in all directions, leaving Emma frozen in shock. The man had claimed to be a savior. Jacob had been a shield, and now both were gone, leaving behind this dark omen. What does it mean, she thought, heart racing, mind spiraling, desperate to piece it together. Who was she in this tangled mess? What had she really stumbled into? The ground trembled beneath her, and she felt time stretch, the air heavy with uncertainty. She had come searching for Lily's truth, but perhaps it was her own that was most elusive, locked away, waiting for the right key. As the last echoes of chaos surged through the alley, one nagging question filled the air. What if everything she thought she knew was just the surface of a deeper, darker reality? The chaos was swirling like a tempest, and Emma felt herself teetering on the precipice of despair. The creature had vanished, leaving a chill in the air and a cacophony of voices that echoed with shock and fear. She searched through the crowd, heart pounding, for any sign of Lily. "Please, God, don't let this be how it ends," she whispered to herself. But then through the confusion she heard it, the unmistakable sound of laughter. It rang out clear and bright, piercing through the din of chaos. Emma's breath caught. Could it be? "There she is," someone shouted, pointing toward the archway behind the stage. Emma sprang forward, knees trembling as she pushed through the throng of terrified faces. Her eyes locked on a figure clad in flames of hope. Lily stood there, vibrant and alive, a fierce spark in her eyes. She was no longer the quiet girl Emma had known. She exuded strength, resilience. It was as if the girl had burst through the chains of her past, an unyielding force. "Emma!" she cried, arms wide, but then hesitation flickered across her face. "Lily!" Emma choked out, her heart swelling with overwhelming relief. "You're safe." But as Lily stepped into sight, the dark figure from earlier melted back into view, poised like a predator. The man who claimed to be her father moved, blocking Lily's path, resolve written across his sharp features. "You can't go near her," he yelled, desperation swirling in his voice. "Why?" Lily yelled back, defiance lighting up her face. "Is it because you've lied to me? You know nothing about who I really am." The ground trembled with every word. Emma felt it ripple through her bones. "This ends now," she shouted, stepping close to Lily, unabashedly fierce. "I'm not letting anyone take you again." The crowd held its breath, their eyes flickering between the sisters and the man. "Let go of her," Emma cried, every word a lifeline pulled taut. "She deserves to know the truth." Lily straightened, and it was as if the entire world pivoted on her courage. "I'm not afraid anymore. I reject your lies." The darkness around them shuddered, the creature's presence dissipating with her words. "Lily," Sarah's voice broke through the fog of uncertainty, rushing toward them. "Please, let's leave together." But before they could move, the reality of the creature returned, swirling and shifting like a dark fog around the man. He was trapped in the weight of his own actions, tangled in strands of fear and lies. The shadow lifted, and with it, a clarity, revealing that he had been swept up in an experiment far larger than himself. "A darkness we created," he murmured, his voice shaken, revealing just enough remorse. "And it thrives on fear, but that fear has to end." The crowd whispered, an electric mix of shock and understanding knitting them closer together. A fragile stillness settled over the scene, and with it, something beautiful began to bloom. Emma glanced at Lily, the pain of their shared turmoil shattered in the face of their sisterhood, renewed. "We're free," Lily murmured, her eyes shining. "What happens now?" Emma whispered back, hope stirring again. "Together," Lily replied as conviction formed in her voice. "We face our truths together."
Then, with one unified breath, the crowd surged forward, fueled by shared purpose and a fierce desire to stand against the encroaching shadows. They were a collective force, their combined will enough to push back the darkness that had threatened to consume them all. As the last remnants of fear evaporated like morning mist, Emma glanced over her shoulder at the man. She strode away with Lily, hand in hand. Whatever is in our past doesn't define us. We create our future, and with that thought, they stepped into the brightening dawn, heartbeats syncing with each other's. As they walked closer to the light, the warmth wrapped around them, igniting a flicker of hope in the hearts of those left behind. Freedom rippled through, a powerful light breaking through the dissipating darkness that had loomed for too long. And just like that, they stepped into their new beginning, an uncharted space, the past blending into a faint memory while they embraced the promise of brighter days ahead. Now, as your heart swells with these emotions, don't you dare wait another moment. You have to subscribe right now. Make sure you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood that comment section with your thoughts and theories about this ending because I want to hear everything. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this story concludes. This is not just a request. This is a call to action. Your support means everything.